Am I the a-hole for not letting my brother come stay with me to make up for being the golden child? I, 20 male, have a brother 18 male, and growing up, he always saw me as our parents' favorite kid. And I think a lot of people saw it that way, but in reality, I was the chosen child. My parents paid way more attention to me and were more involved in my life. But they didn't like me or anything about me. Instead, they tried to mold me into the child of their dreams while they ignored my brother. We were treated differently, and he thinks I always had everything I wanted, when I got nothing I wanted. My parents moved me from public to private school when I was 7, even though I hated private school and liked my old school. They said I needed the best education. My schedule was filled with extracurriculars my parents wanted me to take, like football because every young man needs a team sport and the chance to be a star. Debate because every young man needs to learn how to hold an argument and fight for what he believes in. Piano for the sophistication, and swimming because I needed to be more active. I didn't like any of that stuff, or at least not in that context. I love swimming, but not competitively, and I was forced to be competitive with it. I had no interest in football or piano, and when I asked to play different things, my parents ignored me. Debate just plain sucked, and I wasn't good at it, which meant my parents actually paid people to tutor me in debate. And when I asked to drop it, they ignored me. They had a way of not even acknowledging that you spoke, even if you repeated yourself over and over. They bought me a lot of clothes, but they chose everything from my shoes to my socks to the actual outfits. I wasn't allowed to wear sweats outside of the gym or practices. Jeans had to be a certain style. I couldn't wear character shirts or fun socks. Even my underwear was chosen 100% by them, and I had zero say. Most of the time, they didn't even take me shopping for the stuff. They just gave it to me. I had obligations to attend their parties with friends, where they could show me off and boast about me. But it wasn't even really me. I wasn't the amazing football player who was hoping to go pro like they used to suggest. I hated every second of football, and I got more injuries because of it. Not that they cared. All the amazing grades for all the amazing classes I took? My classes were chosen by my parents, not me, and it was expected I would get straight A's in everything and win awards. My brother never saw the time our parents berated me for 3 hours because I got C's and D's when I was 16 because I was so miserable. But they did. They told me how I needed to pull myself together, and they knew what they were doing and I just needed to do what they said. Anytime I got something they didn't like, whether it was a book they didn't want me reading or a poster for something I liked but didn't get to enjoy at home, they destroyed it. I remember using money someone gave me to buy an Avatar Aang Funko Pop I thought looked cool, and I kept it in my room. It took up hardly any space. They broke it and tossed it in the trash and said it was not the kind of thing I should have. I graduated with grades my parents hated, and we fought that day because they saw I had packed up and was leaving. When my brother saw me, he thought our parents were sending me somewhere cool, and he told me to go F myself and die. In reality, I was homeless for a while and landed on my feet once I got a trainee position at my job. I'm only now just on my feet, and none of it had anything to do with my parents. I don't have access to their money anymore, and I don't want it. The other week, my brother called and said he was moving in with me, and I needed to tell him where. I was like, wait, what? And he started yelling and told me Mom and Dad's golden child doesn't get to say anything, but yes, because I need to make all those years where I was the favorite up to him. I told him all the stuff I said here and repeatedly reminded him none of that was true, and that the times I brought stuff up to him before, I was not lying. He told me he didn't believe me and said I needed to stop pretending, and that I'm an a-hole if I won't help him because he deserves that and more from me. But I won't let him stay just to treat me like trash, and I told him that, and all he said was that I was a spoiled a-hole. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Write him off as family just like your parents. You don't have the capacity to take care of him and his resentment. This part, besides his not believing OP, doesn't negate it being OP's experience. Brother needs to find somewhere else to live where his resentment will be soothed and eventually healed, not triggered and made to boil over. What a bizarre attitude. Not the a-hole. He has already formed an image of you that's imagined, and he will not listen to your real story. Might as well go limited contact with him. He will probably take a while before he listens to your side of the story. We haven't had any contact since I moved out, until the call where he wanted to know where I live. So we're definitely already in low contact territory. I'm not so sure we should ever have more contact in reality. I don't see his image of me changing or his willingness to believe me improving. Give it time. No point rushing it. If you don't visit your parents for festivities or holidays, he will surely add things and figure out listening to your side of the story. I haven't seen or spoken to my parents in over 2 years, but he still doesn't figure it out. He just thinks I'm being spoiled and pampered somewhere with their money paying for it all. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents they've shown favoritism and now being essentially disowned after the birth of my second child? My wife and I just had our second child. Leading up to the birth, we had asked my parents to come support us a couple of weeks after the due date because our older daughter is starting kindergarten, which we knew would be a major transition for her. My mom had been in communication with my wife earlier in the year about when they'd be most needed. It was clear their presence that week would mean a lot. Then in June, my mom casually dropped that they had forgotten they already committed to watching my sister's dogs, while she and her husband took a vacation and they couldn't change it. I got upset and said I felt blindsided. It kicked off a months-long back and forth where I tried to explain that this felt like another instance of my sister being prioritized, something I've felt for most of my life, even if it was never explicitly acknowledged. I tried again just recently to explain why this was painful and that it felt like I was being told, again, that I was less important. Dad acknowledged that my sister and I were treated differently, but brushed it off as, well, she was a girl and you were a boy, adding that I'd learned this as well, implying it was normal for different treatment to reflect gender, as if that justified everything. My father eventually exploded in anger during the call and hung up on me as I tried to explain a few other circumstances that occurred and how they made me feel. I also pointed out that if things were reversed, I would have received an F no, and knowledge of that alone would preclude me from even requesting they watch my dogs in lieu of being there for the birth of my sibling's child. Now I have no idea what to do. I feel like unless I completely accept their version of events, that they've always treated us equally, that this was just a scheduling issue, then I'm effectively out of the family. So, am I the a-hole for not just letting it go, especially now that they're older and time with them is limited? Not the a-hole. They've made their choice. Let them accept the consequences. Don't call them. Don't text them pictures. Let them embrace being grandparents to your sister's dogs. If they request pictures, send pictures of the dog. A dog, random dogs from the internet. What to do is quit arguing with them. They are not ever going to hear you and agree with you. Now you can decide if you are okay with things like they are, knowing they are going to disappoint you, but that they will be in your life some. Or you can go low contact and only see them at Christmas and other times when all the family is together, or not at all and limit it to phone calls. Or you can go no contact. You are only going to make yourself nuts trying to get them to understand. Thank you. I think you've given very sober advice. I appreciate your words and your time. Good advice for sure, but there is a reason they won't change. Remember that part of the issue is they can't recognize the issue. Otherwise, they must admit to themselves about bad parenting and playing favorites. So they won't. This may also be your problem. Perhaps you kept being the nice person and being there even as you were treated second. If so, you are rewarding them for their behavior. Does your sister help them? Is she present? If they need something, who do they go to? To be respected, you must also act in a way that will force respect. Frankly, missing your child while being there for the dogs is a pretty grave matter. This is a good time to take action. Withhold your presence. Do not be petty in words, as that will only give them an excuse to justify themselves. Just be unavailable. Do not send pictures of your children. Family meeting? Something more important came up, so you won't go. If they want to see the children, they must make the effort, and do not shift anything to accommodate them. They need help? Ask sister. You have a young child and can't make the time. If she can't, tough luck. If they want to keep contact, they must work. And if they do not, then you have your answer. They don't need you in your life, and you don't need them in yours. Next story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my down-on-his-luck friend out of my apartment for disobeying my one rule? A friend of mine, 22 male, has been down on his luck recently and decided he wanted a fresh start in a different state. He reached out to me, 30 male, and asked if he could crash on my couch for a while until he could get his life together. I've known him for a long time, and I genuinely wanted to help, so I agreed. Since then, I've been supporting him quite a bit, buying groceries, filling up his gas tank, and covering small day-to-day expenses so he could focus on getting back on his feet without stressing about money. When he first moved in, I made things as easy as possible for him. I gave him free reign of the kitchen, let him use my laundry machine, and even told him he could treat the place like his own. I only had one rule: he was not allowed to bring girls over to stay the night. I didn't think this was unreasonable. This is my home, not a party spot, and I wanted to avoid any drama, noise, or disrespect. He agreed to it and said he understood. It's been 3 weeks since he arrived, and unfortunately, he's already broken that one rule twice. The first time he brought a girl over, and when I confronted him the next morning, he claimed he had been drunk and it was an accident. I wasn't thrilled about it, but I let it go with a warning because I didn't want to make things worse for him while he was struggling. But then last night it happened again. This time there was no excuse. When I confronted him, he flat out admitted it, saying, "I'm sorry, I just needed to get one out." I was stunned by the bluntness of it because it showed he wasn't even pretending to respect the boundary I had set. I told him it was fine for her to stay that night, but he needed to leave with her in the morning. I wasn't trying to be controlling or jealous. It was simply about respect in my own home. I feel like I've been generous, opening my door, feeding him, and helping him financially. But if he can't follow the one basic rule I set, I'm starting to wonder how long I can realistically keep this up. Now for the top comments. If he's got money to be out getting drunk and picking up girls, then why does he need you to buy his groceries and put gas in his car? He's taking advantage of you. This. He might be a cool guy to hang around with and you're a good person for having empathy, but he is taking advantage of you for sure. Don't argue logically with a leech. Funny how people who can't follow simple rules always end up down on their luck. And funnier how someone so broke he can't afford gas or food can afford to get so drunk he forgot the one rule, and then afford to take a girl out just to bring her home to get one out. If she was there naked in the couch with him when he said that, I'm sure it made his guest feel real special. Not the a-hole. This dude just learned a hard lesson. Nope, he didn't. He'll just blame OP ruining his second chance. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my friend that my life has changed, so it is what it is? I'll try and keep this nice and short. I've always been my good friend's go-to to look after her kid. He's 7 years old now, and I've been his preferred sitter, if you will, for his whole life so far. My friend has always worked odd hours and regularly needs people to watch him. I don't work and had all the time in the world, so I never minded watching him for her. I adore her child, and he adores me. She would always throw me some money too. It's important to note that she was giving me a little money to look after him, not pay me for babysitting. However, I then got pregnant with my first after a very long journey of TTC. Throughout my whole pregnancy, I still watched her child for her all the time, but we did have a conversation where I let her know that once my baby was here, I wouldn't be able to watch him as much, as I'd have my own things going on, and she seemed to understand at the time. My baby is now here. I'm nearly 2 months postpartum, and my life has completely changed. All my focus and energy goes on my child, and I've not looked after her son for her these last 2 months. Yesterday, she asked when I would be ready to start looking after her child again for her, and I straight up told her that it wouldn't be anytime soon. She said it's been a nightmare for her trying to find people to watch him, because everyone else she knows works, and that she's going to have to start paying a lot of money, more than she was giving me, for these before-school and after-school clubs to look after him with the odd hours that she works. And I'm not gonna lie, I told her that I was sorry, but that wasn't my problem. She's now being distant with me over this, and I do genuinely feel bad, but I can't help the way I feel and how much my life has changed in these last 2 months since having my own child. Am I the a-hole? Sounds like you've helped her for a long time. This can change, and she will have to accept your situation isn't agreeable for watching all day. If she can't understand, then she wasn't a real friend. Many parents pay for care, and you aren't obligated to watch her child forever. You did your part. You set boundaries. You communicated ahead of time. That's literally all you can do. Don't let guilt eat you up. Honestly, not the a-hole. Sounds like she's gotten too comfy having you as a reliable cheap sitter. Now that your circumstances have changed, she'll just have to adapt too. Congrats on the baby, by the way. That's awesome. It's not your responsibility to sort out her child care arrangements. Yeah, it might suck for her, but that's life. Hang in there, OP. Embrace the mom life. You're doing great. And she told her things would change in advance. In my observation, many people with kids live in a kind of perpetual chaos. Almost everything is an emergency, crucial, or urgent to them. They get tunnel vision. When others help out and make things easier because the parents believe everything is a crisis, they get blind to the degree to which people are sacrificing themselves to help them with their kids, and that those people are entitled to boundaries that can be uncomfortable and expensive to the parents, and that's not the helper's problem. Not the a-hole. Your friend was lucky enough you could be the reliable sitter. You even babysat while heavily pregnant. Now you can't, and she understood when you told her. That was the time to take her precautions and adjust her job to fit her life. Are you sure she's your friend? She doesn't mind a thing about you and your baby. All she cares about is the nightmare to find reliable childcare, and that she's going to start paying a lot of money for her child to be cared for. Interestingly, she's pretty aware she was unfair to you. It was much less than what she will have to pay now. So you were her cheapest option, her comfy option. And since you can't help her anymore, she's distant. So please realize the pattern. You're her friend because you're a reliable sitter, not because she truly cares about you. Sorry to say it.